Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm Jose Franco. I'm an integration engineer at Off-Chain Labs. And I'm here today to talk to you about what we have right now in the Arbitrum ecosystem and what we are building right now for the future. So let's start with what we have today. Today we have in mainnet two Arbitrum chains, Arbitrum 1 and Arbitrum Nova. Arbitrum 1 is the main chain. It is a layer 2 optimistic rollup. It is the largest L2 in terms of TVL, according to L2Bit, $6 billion, and with a TPS of 8.17. And it's actually very cool to use, which in this context means cheap and fast, right? And then we have Arbitrum Nova, which is the second chain. Arbitrum's second chain is also a layer 2 optimistic rollup with an extra detail, which is this data availability committee. And the way it works makes that transactions are cheaper and faster. I'm not going to get into the technical details of it. And just assuming one extra security assumption, right? So that's what we have today, right? And actually this year, this 2023 has been great for both Arbitrum and the Off-Chain Labs. And we gave, back in March, we gave One and Nova to the community. We created the Arbitrum DAO to govern the chains and the future. And we've actually been developing since then what we think that future might look like for the ecosystem. And I want to talk to you today about 3 of these technologies that we're building right now at Off-Chain Labs. And those are Bold, Stylus, and Orbit, right? So let's start with the first one, Bold. Bold is a new dispute protocol that will enable permissionless validation. So let me explain a bit what that is. I'm going to get a bit technical into this, so please bear with me. I'll try to make it as painless as possible. So the way validation works in Arbitrum is that transactions actually are sent to the blockchain, and they are sent to a sequencer. That sequencer actually batches those transactions and compress them and all that stuff, and it puts the data of those transactions into L1, okay? Then validators will take the transactions, and they will execute them. And after executing them, you will get the state of the chain, what the chain looks like after executing all those transactions, right? And they will put that they will post that into Ethereum. So at that time, at that point, any other validator can come in and execute those transactions. And if the state doesn't match, then it means that one of them is wrong. One of them is trying to commit fraud there in the chain. So a challenge will arise, and they will play this little game between them and until they reach one single execution step where they disagree in, right? And that single step of execution, it will be executed on Ethereum, so we will make sure that only the one who's right, only the honest validator will win that challenge. So that's the way it works today. That protocol has a flaw, actually, has a problem. It is vulnerable to a type of attack, which is called a delay attack. And actually, a malicious actor can actually spend funds repeatedly and just prevent the chain from confirming assertions on Ethereum. So they can delay that attack indefinitely until, as long as it has funds, right? So that's the reason why the current set of validators is permissioned. So Bold fixes that. Bold is an upgrade to this dispute protocol. And what it does actually in essence is that it gives an upper bound to the maximum days that a challenge can be delayed. So that will be an additional 7 days and no more. And that will make the protocol more secure and will actually allow the Arbitrum chains to be, it will enable, permissionless validation on the chains. That means that if this is activated on the Arbitrum chains, on Arbitrum 1 and Nova, if the DAO wants to, anyone will be able to become a validator. And this is important because it will make the chain more decentralized, and it actually will take us one step closer to the stage 2 of this rollup stages framework that Vitalik proposed. right? So where are we at right now? Right now, there is research notes about Bolt. There is also an implementation. It is all available at our GitHub repositories if you want to take a look. We are integrating Bolt into the Nitro stack. The Nitro stack is the technology that runs the chain. Okay, we call it Nitro. And we'll soon have a DevNet ready, so the community can play with it, and we will pass an auditing process. And after that, we will submit a proposal to the DAO to activate Bolt in the testnet chains, and eventually the mainnet chains. All right, so let's go with Stylus now. Stylus is an upgrade to the current development environment for smart contracts that we have today. So today, when you write a smart contract, you have to either choose Solidity or Viper. And actually, with Stylus, you can write smart contracts in Rust, C, C++, and other languages. And the way this works is that alongside the EVM, Stylus adds another virtual machine that executes WASM programs. And it does so in an interoperable manner. That means that from smart contracts written in Solidity, you will be able to call WASM programs. And from WASM programs, you will be able to call Solidity smart contracts, right? And this will increase in speed and reduce cost, essentially because generally WASM programs are more efficient than Solidity written programs, smart contracts, sorry. Another cool thing about Stylus is that now memory usage is improved. So this will allow for new use cases, like advanced cryptography that we couldn't have before, or generative art on-chain, right? Yeah, and another thing that Stylus also enables is that we can now reach a wider developer community, right? So to give you a few numbers, for example, we have 20K Solidity developers, and we can compare those with the 3 million Rust developers and the 12 million C++ developers we have. So now we reach a wider developer audience, and actually they are free to use the language they want. So right now, we're working on SDKs for Stylus, for Rust, C, and C++. These SDKs, what they do is that they make it easier for developers to write smart contracts in these languages. But actually, today, any language that can be compiled to WASM can use Arbitrum Stylus. And we have two cool examples also in our repositories. One smart contract written in SIG, and another one written in assembly script, if you guys want to take a look. So next steps for Stylus are, we're currently in an alpha version. We have a testnet, a public testnet ready, so anyone can write their smart contract in these languages, and they can deploy it to this testnet and try it. We will audit all the code. We will also enable Stylus for Orbit chains, and once we make sure that everything is safe, we will also submit a proposal to the Arbitrum DAO to activate Stylus in the testnet chains, and eventually the mainnet chains as well. And finally, we have Orbit. Orbit is a tool that allows anybody to deploy their own blockchain with the Nitro technology that we mentioned before. So that means that anyone can now deploy their blockchain. Those are going to be layer 3 that settles into one of the Arbitrum chains. And actually, you can customize your L3 the way you want. The easy changes are that you can choose if you want to have a rollup like Arbitrum 1, you want to have an AnyTrust like Arbitrum Nova with that detail I specified before. You can choose the challenge period you want. You can choose the base fee. You can choose the token you want your users to pay with. And you can go beyond that, actually. If you tinker with the code, you can add new precompiles. You can make your blockchain private. You can sponsor transactions for your users. You can make almost anything you want, right? And all that while inheriting the security from Ethereum. So today, we have a user interface to deploy your Orbit chain into one of the Arbitrum testnets, Arbitrum Girly or Arbitrum Sepolia. You can use a very basic UI and just pay for the transaction for deploying it there. And also, we have a couple of rollup as a service providers that are also providing that service. So you can You can deploy the Orbit chain into one of the test nets as well, using their infrastructure. And yeah, and that's all that I have for you today. Thank you, everyone. We are more than happy to welcome you into our booth downstairs if you have any questions, if you want to talk about these technologies, if you have any doubts. So thank you, everyone, and hope you like it.